Welcome to Living with Intention. I am honored that you chose to take some time today to tune in and discover more about you. This series, Evolving with Energy, stems from my initial Reiki podcast. I wanted to go a little deeper about energy and ways we can make a conscious effort to build a stronger relationship between our minds and bodies. And so, just to give a little bit more about energy, I want to talk about quantum physics for just a bit here. And it's not going to go too far over your head, I guarantee it. It's just to give you a foundation to build off for what we're going to be exploring. So, the science exchange definition of quantum physics says it's a study of matter and energy at the most fundamental level, and it aims to uncover properties and behaviors which are the very building blocks of nature. What it boils down to is energy and how everything in our world is vibrating at a frequency level. Even our bodies are also part of the intrinsic connection down to the atoms of our cells. We are constantly changing our frequency due to thoughts, environment, or even encounters with others. And I just also want to remind everyone that we are all formed by cells in the very beginning, which are energy. And within these cells are atoms, and they are constantly vibrating. And these cells reproduce and reproduce and reproduce until they construct organs, bones, our nervous systems, and bodily fluids. And this energy is still within us, but we tend to focus our attention externally. And we do not realize how our energies are what produces our realities, both mentally and physically. And I know that's a little deep, maybe, although an easier approach is just looking at nature. Just think about the animal kingdom and see how other species adapt to their environment by utilizing energy or frequency. So, such as bats, they use their ears to navigate, sonar, right? Just as dolphins do. And they both do that to find food sources. And elephants communicate with a low rumbling frequencies that they actually feel through their feet up to 2 miles away. And sound waves are frequencies also. And whales and other mammals in the water communicate, and that's what gets the frequency going through the water. And just even thinking of water, right? Water too is a network of energy, allowing that frequency to travel further than it were to be above water. So the point I'm making is that we have the ability to tune into our own energies and frequencies of our bodies. When we invite a gentle pause and have that open curiosity, we can start to understand just how amazing we are as we're working from the inside out, shifting our perceptions from how the environment and others, quote unquote, make us feel, to being, again, curious to the experience you're having and how our minds and bodies are responding. And that builds the awareness to your inner knowing that the energy and frequency, and you will realize that your body is constantly communicating to you. And these frequencies, they don't really lie about your present state. So this series bridges the gap between our physical and energy bodies. And I'm here to share with you a few amazing friends, of course. I always bring great friends in who will also share about their experiences as working with the energetic fields to assist others on their healing paths. And my first guest is Maya Countryman. Maya is an agent of change. And since childhood, she has been seeking and learning about how the world works and why we're here. Maya uses her gifts to help bring clarity and empowerment to others so they can make choices to take actions that are in their highest good and best interests. Maya is also a certified Access Consciousness Bars facilitator, a Sui Reiki master, and you know I'm all about Reiki, a life coach, and a Theta healing practitioner. As you all know by now, I invite guests whom I've worked with, and I've experienced firsthand Maya's gifts and abilities. About a year ago, when we were transitioning into this RV lifestyle, I had a lot of uh, energy, right? The anxiety, anxiousness, how is this going to work out? And then I felt like there was a lot of energy that wasn't even mine. So I reached out to Maya, and she supported me with the access bars. And as I was open to the experience, because I knew nothing about it, I had met her and heard wonderful things about her. So I just trusted in the process and knew that I was in good hands. And my experience was so different than I thought it would be, right? Our minds think it's going to be a certain way because I was used to sound healing and Reiki and other modalities. I'd never experienced access bars before. And afterwards, I felt so much lighter, yet grounded. And my mind was more clear. And I felt a lot of support. And that's just something, it's one of those things where you just can't put your finger on it, but you know that you receive something beyond what the mind can fathom. So today, Maya is here to share her story and how she can support you with energy work to promote wellness and how she can help you work from the inside out. So welcome, Maya.
Thank you, April. I'm happy to be here. And I love hearing your story about how your access bar session went. So that's, I do find a lot of people really have a similar experience. Everybody has a different experience, but that is a similar experience that people have, feeling lighter, more grounded, yet more open and spacious. It's a really lovely place to be. So
Yes, it is. And for those who aren't familiar with you, can you share a little bit about yourself and your story and how you came into this energy work?
sure. So my name's Maya, and I am from Iowa. I've lived here my whole life. So even as a little kid, I mean, some people say as a little kid they were able to hear and see spirits, and I always wanted to do that, but that's something that I haven't had the we all have our clairs that we're good at, right? Mine is knowing and sense of smell and sense of and that knowing. So when I was a little kid, I noticed was really aware of like the feeling of a space. Like if I walked into a room, my grandpa was like the original American picker. He would take me with him to all these estate sales, all these old guys' farmhouses. And I remember walking into some and feeling just like, wow, this is home. This feels really good. And then walking into others
Oh,
and just being so scared and so like, you know, needing to leave or go stand outside and getting in trouble because I was being, like I didn't want to stay there. Um, so there was that part of me that I felt throughout, my life, as well as just this like really, good intuition and connection to knowing when something was going to happen or not happen, right?
mm.
Um, and then shutting that down a lot in my teen years because it just wasn't where I put my energy, and I was too busy doing other things. Um, but anyway, I then decided to study I took a course on studying to be a priestess when I was in my 20s, early 20s. I didn't end up finishing that, but I did learn a lot there. And that's where I actually started doing Reiki and getting certified as a Reiki practitioner. I started doing some practicing with energy work in 2005. So that's when I was certified with Reiki. And then I've spent just time since then using it with my family, using it with my friends, and also as a business, off and on between other jobs that I had. Um, I had little kids. My little kids would come up to me and be like, "Mom, will you do some Reiki on me?" So I love that I've helped them, grow up in this world as well. Uh, I also then started studying access bars, which is a part of access consciousness, in 2017. I was certified with that. It takes a few classes, 3 classes, to be certified to be able to be a access bars facilitator so that I could teach other people to be practitioners as well. And I did that as soon as I found out about it and started using the bars on my friends and family and in my business. I was just like, this is the most amazing thing. It's just very different than Reiki, but also similar, as I'm still energy work. But where I like to say where Reiki is a big warm hug, it's allowing, this beautiful healing to happen and bringing this beautiful energy to just be in all the parts of a person's body, mind, and spirit. Access bars in its own way is allowing your body to release all the negative thoughts, experiences, anything that it's been holding on to that you've been needing to release. Access bars allows you to just release those. It's like taking the trash out of your mind. If you're older, you can say even it's like defragging your hard drive, if anybody remembers what that means. So yeah, access bars is more concerned with releasing the things that we don't need anymore so that you can show up with more space and more possibilities and more consciousness in your life.
Yes, I love that, the more space, and that's exactly how I felt. I felt that I wasn't carrying so much, that I was open and free after the session.
I let people know when they come in that everybody has a different experience, and each time you have an access bar session, it'll feel different. It's usually not going to be the same as last time, which means that you may sit there the whole time and think, this is dumb, what am I doing? Sometimes we can't shut our minds off, and that's okay. It's still working. And most of the time, people have an experience where they feel like they've had a really deep, relaxing meditation when they're having their bars run. That's what we would say. You're having your bars run. Um, and I think that allows people to get off the table and just feel so much more rested and alive, and just really like a deep sigh, like just like a deep sigh of relief, right? Um, a lot of people call it the bar. The bars are points on your head. Point, it corresponds to a different area of your life, such as um, control and money and aging, body and sexuality. And so when they're lightly touched, so they're just these little spots on your head, and they're in sync with each other. So like I might have, if I'm touching one on one side, I'm touching one on the other side in the same spot, which is kind of why they're called the bars, because it makes like a bar between each of them.
Okay.
And so when you lightly touch those, it just allows like your body to know that it's okay and safe to start releasing those. So I'm really just like the person who pushes the play button, and your body knows that it's time to release these and what is okay to release. Um, and you don't have to know it consciously, right? This is like something that your subconscious is aware of, and that, yeah. So that energy just dissipates and releases. And
Yes. And there's something about also just the human touch,
Yes.
and our the cranial area is so sensitive anyway, and all the nerves and everything up there. Um, and just having somebody there, and of course the person's intention to show up, right, for the
Right.
session,
Right.
and you being you, Maya, just holding that space and literally holding
Right.
the head is very comforting. It's
And that's one of the things that the founder of Access Consciousness, Gary Douglas, he speaks about not he speaks about how it's not okay to do bars distance, right? Because he talks about how our bodies need that touch. They need to have like that beautiful, platonic, safe, comfortable place to experience that and to receive. And we don't always get that in our life. So a bar session is done, it's done in silence. I mean, we can talk during it, but there's no music. We don't have the lovely little, music we might play in a Reiki session. It's actually quiet and or talking and or even watching a movie. Anything that can bring stuff up and make you kind of like think about things like, oh, that irritated me or something. That's something that can be released during this. So it's okay. But they say that music is going to like maybe lull that part of you that would be releasing things. So that's something that we avoid. But yeah, so it's nice to be able to have that beautiful space to be able to receive, and teaching our bodies that it's okay and safe, um, and that they have the ability to receive is one way that we can go out into the world then and start to show up bigger and better for ourselves and start to actually receive more. So I mean, there's that thing, ask to receive, right? So you can ask all the time. You could tell the universe, this is what I want. Oh, this is what I want. I want this. I
yes,
want this. But if you're not open to the actual receiving of it and not aware that you actually need to be open to that, then it's harder to get to manifest those things into being. So I feel like this is one of those things that
yes,
kind of help with that too.
that is definitely very true. People think I need to be this way, or I need to let this go. And the mind is, wonderful to tell us what we need to do, right? But
Right.
there's some disconnect of some maybe past traumas or experiences, or um, even generational traumas that kind of hold us in that space, and we're not aware that that's also what's holding us back, and that too is energy that we carry.
One of the things that I've been doing now for the last couple of years is I've been taking life coaching and kind of meshing that with the energy work, because I feel like what it's doing is it's allowing you, um, those of us who are on this journey of more awareness and of really realizing how energy works and plays into our lives. Sometimes we spend a lot of time in that world, like in the
Mhm.
metaphysical world, in the woo woo world, but we don't spend as much time figuring out how we can make that work in this reality that we're in.
Yes.
So I feel like joining those together has allowed people to be like, oh yeah, I'm on this journey, and I'm also going to show up in the world, and I'm going to know
Mhm.
how to interact and to be more conscious and to know how my choices and my thoughts and my feelings are all creating the world that I'm witnessing and how I'm playing into that. And I think that has a lot to do with quantum physics, actually. So I think it's really
Yes.
interesting that this is the topic of your season. So I love it.
Yeah. Yes, because we are the ripple effect. Whatever we're focusing on, and whatever we're feeling, our thoughts, right? They connect
Yep.
feelings,
Yep. Yep. Our thoughts
feelings.
create our feelings
Yep.
create our actions create our results.
Yep.
So yeah.
Exactly right. So rippling that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And taking responsibility, if we aren't feeling so great, or we're finding ourselves blaming somebody else for how we're feeling, um, I'm sorry to tell you, people, take it with a grain of salt. No one can make you feel a certain way. It's our
So true.
perceptions, and it stems from past experiences. It really does. So just taking a hard look at ourselves, and that's really navigating that internal landscape I talk a lot about, and just being with those ebbs and flows, and as we're with our bodies, and feeling, where is this happening right now, and just being curious of why.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And realizing that life is, life is going to be bad sometimes. Life's going to be good sometimes, There are things that we can control, there's things that we can't control. But what we really do have the power is how we show up and
Mm.
how we think about it. And, that is really where we have a lot of our own personal power. So it's really important to be aware of that and to really figure out like how you use that tool. Your thoughts are a tool. How do you use it? So yeah, use it for good or evil.
Yes. Yes, I love
So,
that we speak the same language.
yeah.
So those that might be a little scared to crack that door open a little bit, of just witnessing those parts of themselves. I I too, in my practices in the very beginning, it was like, I don't want to have a breakdown, or, I was thinking it was going to be some catastrophic thing, which it really wasn't, because that's the mind trying to protect me and keep me safe.
Right.
So for those who are starting this journey, and they're curious about how to start, and maybe a little apprehensive of what that looks like, what kind of guidance do you have for them?
It's a good question. And I would say it's questions. Ask questions. That is really what's going to bring awareness to any situation. That's going to bring possibility to any situation. Is to ask a good question. So, and a good question is a question that you ask without having an answer already in your head. So it's not a statement. Sometimes our questions are statements where we're like, like we ask it knowing what we think the answer is.
Yes.
But when you ask a question, really just allowing the universe to like show up in so many different ways that you don't even, ways that you can't even fathom. That's the kind of questions that are going to create more in your life. And when you're starting this journey, it's really the little thing that you can do that makes a really big impact. So, and a good questions are like, why? Are, like, what? Excuse me. Why isn't a great question. I apologize. What, how, when, all of those things that create like some sort of opportunity for some new thoughts to
Mm.
maybe come in and open up. Sometimes why can be good too, but sometimes why can be used almost as a victim kind of, question too. Like, why does this happen? Always happen to me? Is that a good question?
Yes.
Probably not.
Yeah,
So,
that's that's a very
I
good point.
yeah, I would also offer like doing some sort of like some sort of meditation. Like it doesn't have to be a meditation to start off when you're on this journey, but like something that gets you aware of your body, but also allows you to realize that you are more than just this body. So
Mm.
if you can find something like that,
Uh-huh.
then that can be really useful.
And when you said about the questions, so asking the questions of, and I always say this, when something great happens, or even I find a parking spot when I didn't think I was going to get a parking spot close to the entrance, right? And then I'll say, how can it get better than this?
Right. Absolutely.
With open and curiosity, and that there's more to it, not allowing the mind to
Yep.
fill in those gaps of, well, I know how that's going to happen. If X, Y, and Z happens, then I'm going to be set. It's
Right.
more of
Right.
just that, keeping that open with curiosity, and uh, really that openness, not well, gee, how can it get better than this? Any sarcasm or anything,
Right.
that's going to shut it down. So yeah, having that understanding that we are co-creating with the collective consciousness and being open and receptive to it really expands everything that we experience.
Very true. Very true. And that yeah, I love that, because when something is going right or something is going wrong, and I say that with quotations because that's just a judgment that we have that something's right or wrong. Asking, how does it get any better than this? Like you said, is just a perfect question to do it with openness and to do it with an open-ended question and letting the universe fill in that space for you. It can really, that's magic in itself. And that's a question. How fun is that? It's, you don't need to buy a $10,000 tool, you know, you just ask a question.
Yes. Would it be possible for you to just walk us through a short guided meditation?
Sure. Yeah. So the one that I would use, that I like to use in this instance, when I'm thinking about this is good. It's just an expand out meditation, just a little guided meditation that we'll do. And you can use this when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling like you have so like a ball of anxiety, when you feel like you want to be grounded, any of those things. This is a tool just to kind of come into your body, but also, like I said, recognize that we're more than just this body, because it's my belief that we are a very large being and our body is inside that very large being. So
Yes.
but we often try and like fit ourselves into this.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that's yeah. So all right, if you're driving, maybe don't do this, but if you are able to, close your eyes and just get comfortable and just breathe. Just have some even breaths in through your nose, out through your mouth. What I want you to do is I want you to just focus on your consciousness on the inside of your body. So just imagine, visualize just being inside of your body and filling the inside edges of your body. So your whole being is filling the inside edges of your body. Then I want you to visualize pushing that out. And so you have that consciousness filling up the edges of all the way through your room to touch the edges of the room that you're in. Now expand out even farther. So you are actually filling up all of the continent that you're on. And expand out to fill up the whole earth. Now you're going to expand out to fill up the galaxy. And expand out to fill up the universe. And try and touch the edges of the universe with your consciousness. And you can sit here as long as you want. Sometimes it's nice just to fill this space, this spaciousness. But when you're ready, bring your consciousness back to the galaxy, back to the earth, back to the room you're in, and back to your body. You can open your eyes. And I went through that a little fast, but that really does allow you just to feel like, wow, I really am more. I am more.
Yes. And as I was doing that. I've done that before, although it just really made me realize just how fragmented we become because our thoughts are over here, or we're still thinking about the past, or anxiety about the future. We're kind of scattered. And just by bringing it back to our bodies, and all those dimensions, and then coming back really helps to, just bring ourselves back, our energies back to our bodies too.
Right. And to kind of re-engage all those so they can work for you. So, yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that, Maya.
You're welcome.
Yes. And so I have a question for you.
Sure.
How do you describe when somebody is kind of curious of how this energy work really works? How is it possible to engage with energies?
Sure. Well, as you stated before, we are all energy. That's really all that we are. What is it? We're 99% energy and like 1% mass or something. Is some crazy statistical number like that. Um, and our brains want to put everything into this solid place so that they can keep us safe. Our brains, that's what their job is to keep us safe.
Yes.
And safe is the same, right? So it does take a little bit of allowing. It takes a little bit of just like magical thinking, really, to think about being able to, communicate with energy and move energy and allow energy to work for us. But that doesn't mean that it isn't real, and that doesn't mean that, that it isn't working for you, because it is. So I would say that, it's just recognizing that we're all energy, recognizing that it is our birthright to work with energy, to do any of this, really. I mean, I'm neither April, you or me or anybody else isn't any better or more like okay with doing this. It's everybody gets to have an experience with energy and energy work, and I think that is something to me that is really important to keep in mind, that we all get to do this, and you have, yeah, and it's fun and it feels really cool, and
Yes.
it's really like, hey, I'm nice to be able to know that you can help people if they might be. So
Yeah. And I think with you and your approach, Maya, it is also giving a person like reassurance, like it's okay to feel the way you're feeling, meeting them where they're at, and then just providing tools and techniques for them to really feel, no pun intended there, like really feel the energies within them. And that really empowers a person too.
I agree. There are times when I will have a client and just will spend time just feeling where that feeling is in their body. Where is it in your body? What does it look like? Does it have a color? Does it have a taste? Does it have a texture?
Yeah.
I mean, really just getting all of the pieces of what that means to them to have that feeling or emotion. And I would tell you what, when you're able to identify those things, it becomes less scary. It has less of an impact on you, because it's not as abstract. It's not full of all the fear and anxiety necessarily, because you're like, oh, I see that. Oh, it's kind of cold and it hurts in my belly. And, I mean, oh, and then you can just allow it to be there and feel it, and then move through it when you're ready. And that can be so empowering, just that little act of recognizing where a feeling is in your body.
Yes. And most of us we're dragging our bodies around, right? We have this mind that is amazing. And I'm not saying we don't need the mind at all. We need both. But it's like, who's driving the bus? you
Right.
know?
Right.
You
Right.
know, how are you feeling if you got all these thoughts and things are happening and focusing on the future and anxiety and things, the body is holding everything for us. This is what keeps us anchored on this earth. This is how we're able to have these experiences of the earth. And so when we forget we have these bodies and that it's holding everything for us, and just as you perfectly described earlier with the access bars, it just allows us to have that space within ourselves and just relax and receive and restore, you know, our
Yeah.
energies and um, reset, like you said.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and it's there's just so many levels to it. And I think if when, not if, when somebody approaches it, like you said, it's magical, right? And witnessing that life, you can see it through nature, you know, just think of a butterfly, how it, you know, from a little egg transformed into a caterpillar, transformed into a butterfly, you know, how much more magic, evidence of
Right.
magic do you
Right.
need, right? And
I mean,
us
that little
having that,
caterpillar inside that crystal. Yeah. Oh, I
yes,
just say a little caterpillar inside of that. It turns to mush. Not even, it doesn't have a body. It's just a big ball of mush. And then it turns into a butterfly. That's pretty magical. So,
when we do this work from the inside out, we're literally changing the cells. We're forming new
yes.
neural pathways in the brain physically.
Yes.
And that takes a little bit of time, right? To
Yeah.
unlearn old behaviors and relearn new stuff. And so just having that ease and grace also for ourselves as we're navigating through life.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I always tell people too that, you get like a gold star for showing up and even starting to do the work because it's a lot of people, like you mentioned, aren't really, scary. It's like, okay, I'm going to really look at myself and see where I've been and where I am now and where I'm going forward. And, I mean, it's a journey
Mhm.
that I think is I think the people who choose to take that, I like to start them off knowing that there's nothing wrong with them and that,
Yes.
it really is nothing wrong with you. You are where you are, you've done the things you've done, and now you get to make a choice. Where are you going to go next? Um,
Exactly. And for those who are curious and want to make that choice to reach out to you, Maya, what is your contact information?
yeah, you can find me on my website, and it's just my name, Maya, Mia, Countryman, COUNTRYMAN.com. And from there, you can find out a little bit more about me and ask to schedule. I do a free discovery call for people who are interested in coaching. And I also do access bar sessions at my office in Des Moines. And I do distance Reiki as well for people and for pets. So all that can be booked on there.
Wonderful. Great. Well, it's been so fun to have you here today. And I'm just excited to share you with others and know that there's more to us than this material body. And having somebody that can be an advocate and help us see us through those times, you're the perfect person for that, Maya. So thank you for being
Well,
here.
thank you, April. I appreciate being on this, and I think that you are amazing, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yes, and even though I'm not in Des Moines, it's like it's Maya, right? You just feel the energy and that connectedness. So thank you so much again for being here. And also, everyone else, remember that this is just the beginning of the series. So, my next guest will be Stevie, and she will talk about working with the energy bodies with her own intuition. And she will share her story, how she realized how her life needed to change because of what was happening within her. So I don't want to put too much out there about that. Just know that it's another phenomenal person that is going to be here with us to share her story and to provide guidance too, through this energetic world that we live in. So be well, my friends. Thank you again, Maya. And until next time, be well.